Man, oh man, we still have stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's not sports. It's not the economy. It's just some fun events that we both were able to participate in. Well, that you worked at, that I participated in over this past weekend.
I worked and participated in the sense of working, yes, but
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't. I was there almost 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to start with the Valley Vineyards Beer Wine Festival, I guess.
Well, to kind of start a little prefacing that even.
Yeah.
Tying into Northern Rowan Lager Fest.
Yeah.
And all of the amazing local beer events that are happening in the Cincinnati area, and why it is such an important thing to support these events and these experiences that local breweries and wineries, vineyards are putting on. I'll go ahead and let you start with the Valley Vineyard Wine and Beer Festival.
Yeah, so this festival's been going on for, so many years. I don't even have the exact number of years, but the winery's been established since 1970. And when I talk to people, even still, the Cellar Dweller as a brewery made 10 years this past February.
Congratulations.
10 years.
That's a long time for a craft brewery. I guess
it is locally.
Yeah, locally in Cincinnati.
In the new wave, yes.
Sure,
absolutely.
Yeah.
In the modern craft beer wave. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
As we know from Brew Sky's Happy Hour, craft beer in America has been going on since late 60s, early 70s, if not even pre that, when it wasn't super well known.
Right.
But locally here in Cincinnati, a brewery that's stuck around for 10 years, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we have this festival, and the festival has evolved. It used to be where people used to camp out, and things happen. That doesn't happen anymore. It's a bad idea, but anyways, we still do the Beer Wine Festival, so it's modern era, let's call it. Friday night from 5 to 11, Saturday from 11 to 11, and we had the Naked Karate Girls, which is a local party band. They were freaking awesome. And then we had Deviate, also a local sort of cover band.
Yeah.
Both freaking brought it. Karate Girls brought it. Deviate, though, they slayed. It was amazing. The festivals evolved and things. It's $5 a park, but you're parking on the essentially property that they cut the grass so that you can park on the property.
I'm not facing the board, and
it's 6-0. That was a solo home run.
So what the? Okay. This is supposed to be about the local festivals. That's fine. What the hell happened with the Reds? All of a sudden they're good now. I'm so confused.
It's a 2-run. It's a 2-run home run.
There we go.
I don't know. I thought it was
Brian.
a single. Thank you, guys. Thank you, producer Brian and Doug over here corrected me. Thank you. So, what's happening with the Reds?
And then we'll get back into Valley Vineyards and
So
the Wine and Beer Festival.
Really quick, first of all, they're a very, very, very young team, right?
That's true.
And they have very, very, very young talent that's trying to find out how to play together. And then the veteran leadership is finally getting. Joey Votto was out with some injury. So him coming back, actually his stats coming back are freaking ridiculous.
Really?
After injury. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on there. The young pitching is honing in. The players are learning how to play with each other, and their veteran talent's getting healthy. I have no idea what that means. They were the worst record in baseball up until I think last week. I don't know if that means they're going to be in any way racing for a pennant, or if that just means they're going to be 500, or if they're going to be sub 500, or they're going to be just over 500. But
they're winning games currently, and that's all that
currently
matters.
winning games. Yeah,
all right.
Currently winning games.
All right.
So, and that's more fun than losing.
It is. It is.
So-
Shout out to the Cincinnati sports ball teams that are doing the winnings and not the losings.
That's right.
But let's go back to Valley Vineyards.
So,
Cellar Dweller, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, Firebucks Park of the festival and all this, but
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot to put on a festival as big as this.
The picture, like I have, and I regret to say I have not been up there yet. It's definitely on the list. Josh and I have talked about we need to make sure we get up there. That is a huge venue. It's a good amount of space. Like it's a lot bigger than what.
It's a pretty big. It's a pretty big outdoor space that the festival happens at. So everything has to happen right. Like the weather has to be not raining and hopefully not, like face of the sun hot. Which it wasn't, so we got really lucky in that regard. I have 38 taps, so I have 18 taps on one side of the festival, and I have 20 taps on the other side of the festival.
And this could be a dumb question, but is the wine on tap as well, or is that poured out of?
Two taps had bottles. So one tap had mead, and the other tap had white sangria. The wine is poured. They have. Wine bottles in like bus tubs that have ice, and then they pour that out.
But the rest of the taps are beer.
Yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
No.
I'll let you continue to explain the festival so that next year people know what to expect. Things always change, but.
Out of the 18 taps on one side of the building, I had 14 taps with offerings on them.
Nice.
And I had 2 of those were wine, so 12. I had 12 taps of seltzer. And now most of the flavors were doubled up. So if I had a tangerine on one end, then I'd have 2 taps of tangerine.
Makes sense.
To ease a pouring, right? People that way you could station volunteers. Okay, this half you can pour off of these taps. This half you can pour off of these taps.
Makes sense.
So yeah, if I had there was 2 tangerine, 2 black cherry, 2. I mean whatever. And yes, those products, all of those products are made on site at Valley Vineyard. The brew team, myself, and the rest of the team, we make the seltzer. We make the cider. Oh, I had cider too.
Cider too. That's
so awesome. I had 4 taps of cider.
Okay.
And so we make the seltzer. We make the cider. I do not make the mead. I do not make the sangria because those are wine side things. And then we had on the other side 20 taps of beer.
Nice.
And again, we tried to
also duplicate.
Yeah, duplicates. And then I also set up a jockey box. I set up 2 jockey boxes with the most popular 2 offerings set up at each jockey box. So those I had, there were 4 different taps essentially with those on them. And then for ease of process, you go and you purchase tickets, and then you just give tickets at the booth. That way you're not doing cash or credit card transactions.
Holding up lines, all that kind of stuff. There is more
7-0.
Reds phenomenalness. I don't even know if that's a word. I'm saying it's a word now. Is it still 7 or is it?
7-0 now.
Hell of a hit.
So Tyler Stevenson, a really fantastic catcher that we have, young catcher. Just went ahead and knocked a single for a run to score in, so 7-0. So and then like I said, and we have food trucks, and then we have vendors who are selling their wares. Food trucks from savory to sweet, and
dinner to dessert.
Right, exactly.
And everything in between.
Dinner and dessert, yeah, and,
Nice.
and those things in between, absolutely. To get festival snacks, like your I forget what the fried, like, it's not a streusel. What's it called?
Funnel cake.
Funnel cake.
How did you not remember
cakes.
funnel cake?
I don't know. I don't eat funnel cakes, but you get all that stuff, right? And
Do you ever do elephant ears, where it's like a funnel cake, but it's basically a pancake? It's not like the.
They had those too.
Nice.
They had the elephant ears.
I haven't had elephant ears in forever.
Yep,
I
they have
I
them.
should have gone up there this weekend.
Yeah,
I
they have it.
apologize that I didn't.
They haven't. And then there's, of course, the headline groups that perform in the evenings to bring the house down. And then we have music that's performed, live music that's performed leading up to those closing acts.
Nice.
It was really fun. It was really busy. Friday night was a good turnout. Saturday during the day was a nice healthy turnout, but Saturday evening, once it got to the evening, I mean, it was like
Busted.
shoulder to shoulder. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
I have no way to tell whether it was a financial success or not. I do know that the people showed up to make it a financial success. So that I do know, and we put in a lot of hard work leading up to the event, and we put a lot of hard work during the event. Not just, I mean, we didn't pour beer so much. We did Saturday afternoon and evening because we set up the jockey boxes, but it was a lot of once the initial run of what went through on Friday and what we had to do to overcome some challenges in certain areas. Okay, we had a task list and we had to get that punch list knocked out Saturday before things got too rowdy, too ruckus, and we did. So kudos to the whole Brew team, the whole Brew staff, which is 4 people. We're all part time.
That's a lot to do for 4 people. So mad props to all of you.
4 people
to
part-time.
everyone. Yeah.
Like putting in like 1 or 2 days a week to try and make everything come together. And thank you, Julia, for that. Shout out to the team and myself. Shout out to the team. We did a great job. We got lucky with the weather. And like I said, I have no idea whether it was a financial success or not. I do know that people were there to make it that way. So
and it sounded like people had fun. People had a good time. There were that many people there.
Oh, yeah.
You're having a good time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, it was great.
Absolutely love to hear that.
And you got to do some fun stuff.
I did. On the flip side, I did not do anything kind of work-related towards a beer festival this weekend, so I kind of feel like I was lazy this weekend after hearing everything that you did. But on Friday, I went to a brand new beer event in the Cincinnati area that happened this year. The Brew Your Own Adventure Festival at Delhi Park in Delhi, my neck of the woods over on the west side, best side. They had 6 local breweries. They had Rebel Metal, Wiedemann, Urban Artifact, Fretboard, Warped Wing, who is technically Dayton, but they have a Mason tap room, so that works. March 1st. And there you go.
Okay.
They had a food truck. They had live music. What was really cool about the event was when you walked up to one of the brewery's tables, instead of just saying, "Oh, I'd like to try this," they had a list of the 3 different beer or seltzer products that they had brought.
Okay.
You rolled a dice.
Ooh.
And depending on the number on the dice, that's what you got. Now, everyone was pretty good about if you really just didn't want to do that, you could just say, "I'd like to try this." But I'll say almost everyone that Josh and I were around at every brewery's table said, "No, I want to do it the way that the event's intended," and they were rolling the dice and trying whatever that number rolled on, which is really cool.
There used to be die here that would do that.
Oh, really?
Hey, Brian.
We need producer Brian's input.
Do you still have that die that you would roll if somebody didn't know what they wanted, or did you get rid of it? Oh, I got lost. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was a 36-sided die. Okay,
That's
so
cool. But it was really
go ahead
cool,
and send funds, and we'll get Brian another one.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be part of our Support Us Fund because this is our home base. But it was really cool, and it wasn't I think they capped it. They didn't cap it. They had a certain number of pint glasses to give out to people that signed up early enough. But if you showed up, you could pay cash for the event. Every pour was 8 ounces, and you got 6 tickets for $20. So you got 3 beers for $20. There was a food truck. There was, like I said, live music. It was really fun. It wasn't the kind of event that you would spend all night at. I think it went from 7 to 11. Josh and I stayed for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Unlike
Weather
coming to BC's
beautiful.
Bottle Lodge Montgomery on a Tuesday, where when we get here, we shut the place down.
Yeah. We don't leave until Brian starts turning everything off and is giving us kind of the side eye, like, you guys are packing up, right?
So, but it was still, it was fun.
But it was a lot of fun. It was really cool, and I hope that next year there are more breweries that participate. I know that as you listen to our Point 5 episode, there are so many events that happen in the beginning of June to where there might not have been enough people to show up to some of these events. Most of the tables were run by a Delhi Township administrator volunteer and then a representative from the brewery. So I got to talk to a couple people. No one that I knew was there from any of the breweries, which is fine because we had a nice shorter beer event evening, I guess you could say. Like I said, it was a great event to where you go right after work or after dinner. You stay for an hour or two, enjoy, the picnic tables, the shade, the beautiful lawn that they had it all set up on. Have a total of 3 pints of beer that you may or may not pick at random, depending on if you wanted to play by the event's rules or if you just wanted to decide what you wanted to drink. And then on Saturday, Josh and I went down to Missing Linck Fest. Fist? Jesus Christ. Let's fix that one.
All right, here you guys went fisting.
Oh, shit. Jesus. Okay, let's take a pause so I can blow my nose. So then on Saturday, Josh and I went down to Northside to the Missing Linck Festival.
Okay.
Very different thing than what may or may not have been said prior to some editing of this particular bonus episode. It was a ridiculous amount of fun. Weather on Saturday was also absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
We stopped at Higher Gravity Northside before going to start at Humble Monk to pregame. So we each had a very delicious non-Missing Linck beer there. Then we headed down to participate in the brewery tour that was being put on by apparently huge fans of the show.
Ah, yes.
Maybe not. But we're huge fans of their show. Brett Coleman Baker from Urban Artifact and Mike Morgan, world-renowned author, lawyer, and University of Cincinnati higher educator. Also the host of the Brew Skies Happy Hour podcast. Sasquatch was heavily involved in the tour and the festival, mostly because Missing Linck is a yeast strain that should not exist, that should not be able to be used to make beer, and Sasquatch should not exist, but maybe we just haven't found the right fermenter that Sasquatch is hiding in yet.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we have evidence that dinosaurs had feathers, and yet there's no actual hard evidence that this Sasquatch character actually exists.
Correct.
And yet, but there's no way that it can't.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
There were, I believe, almost 12 different local breweries that made a beer this year for Missing Linck Fest with the Missing Linck yeast that anyone, home brewers and breweries across the nation alike, can get from Omega out in Chicago. Part of the tour was getting 6 tasters of the beer. They had half of the beers available at Humble Monk Brewing, half of the beers available on tap at Urban Artifact. It was so much fun. The beers were absolutely amazing. Some were funky. Some were kind of that farmhouse, kind of Brett-y style that you would attribute to the type of yeast that Missing Linck is. Some were really light and fruity. So it was amazing. It was really cool to see behind the scenes of Humble Monk. Mike from Humble Monk, the Humble Monk himself, as he was referred to as, talked about how he had built every piece of their brewing equipment, the valves, the tanks, the fermenters, absolutely everything, or as close to everything as they needed. I'm sure some of the valves, pipes, whatever, they were able to purchase, but a lot of that is homemade. Then we went across the street and got to see a little bit of the Urban Artifact warehouse where they have so much space to store so much amazing beer, and then we got to go into Urban Artifact to hear Sasquatch talk about what Urban's doing, the kind of the history behind Missing Linck, how they found it. And then we drank more beers and more beers and more beers. We got to hang out with Joe and Caroline from Craft Parenting Podcast, who were down there. We got to hang out with Jason from Higher Gravity and his wife, and Adam, who is one of your co-workers at Higher Gravity.
Yes.
We ran into a fan of Truth Beer Pod during the tour as we were kind of wrapping up the Urban Artifact section. amazing guy named Joe. Didn't know his name was Joe at the time, but he came up and he was like, "Your voice sounds familiar. Are you on Truth Beer Pod?" And I'm like, "I am." He goes, "Oh yeah, I listened to your show." And it turns out that he's friends with Caroline. I'm sorry, Caroline. And Caroline went to high school with my Josh's sister. So it was one of those really weird,
Wow.
again, that kind of less than 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon where it comes
Right.
to the Cincinnati craft beer world and community. So we all got to hang out. We all, talked with friends that we've seen. We got to see Michael from Medina. We ran into him for a few brief moments while waiting for food. Saw Josh from Fruit Blood Wines, who, Josh, we need to have you on the show at some point to talk about wine with us.
Mm-hmm.
It was an absolutely amazing event that was so incredibly well put together. I would have loved to have talked to Michael and Brett more about both Missing Linck, their podcast, but they were both part of almost every single experience. There were a couple of paid events from the festival that you could participate in, like the brewery tour, a cheese and beer pairing. I think there was a dessert and beer pairing. And Mike Morgan and Brett Coleman Baker were part of every single one of those. So I would have loved to have gotten the chance to talk to them, even just for a few minutes, about their podcast and everything that they're doing for craft beer. But they were too busy, and I was not about to waste any of their time for questions that I can probably, hopefully, maybe message them with to get answered. But if you did not get a chance to go to Missing Linck Fest this year, it is 100% worth going to next year. Hopefully it'll be bigger and better, and we will get more and more breweries, local and even outside of Cincinnati.
And I hear already what they're doing is because a lot of breweries are looking to get on, that they're looking to have, someplace else close. I don't know if it's going to be a UDF or something like that where they can pour more beer there.
Right,
make the festival bigger.
Exactly. Get your $5 gallon of gas and your 6-ounce pour of Missing Linck beer all in one go. It's a one-stop shop.
And a little ice
It'll be
cream.
awesome.
Little
And a
scoop
little
of
bit
ice
of
cream.
Ooh, yeah.
Little scoop of ice cream.
What was fun is one of the beers we got to taste was made by Bierkus, who they never responded to Brett and Mike about like the initial email, "Hey, do you want to make a beer for this?" "Yeah, sure, we'd love to." "Hey, is your beer ready? Is your beer ready?" No response. The day before the Missing Linck Fest, so the menus, everything was already printed out on what was going to be available. Bierkus went, "Our beer's ready. You want it?" And they're like, "Well, fuck. Well, yeah, we want it, but you're not going to be on any of our menu boards." So that was kind of a surprise one, and that was, I think, one of my favorite. That and Fibonacci's.
Oh, really? Okay.
The Bierkus and Fibonacci's were...
Fibonacci makes great stuff.
They really do. And Bob Ballas said that they do still have some at the Fibonacci tap room. Don't know how long it'll last because, again, they're just not able to make a ton of beer.
We should do a pod from Fibonacci one day.
Let's do it. I would love that. Do we do it out in the beer garden by the goats and the chickens?
Yeah, amongst the goats and the chickens.
Let's do it on top of the goat house. Hey, Betty and Bob, can we sit on top of the goat house and record a podcast? Let us know.
Yeah.
But no, Missing Linck Fest was absolutely amazing. Humble Monk posted, I don't know if it's the same for Urban Artifact, but every Missing Linck beer on tap at Humble Monk sold out on Saturday because you could just go and buy pints of it. So huge congratulations and accolades to every brewery that participated, to everyone that was involved in that festival for the very first Missing Linck Fest. It was incredibly well run. It was just amazing all around. They had the perfect amount of vendors, of musical artists, of just everything. Everything was great.
That's awesome.
Everything was great.
That's awesome. I would love to, in some way in the future, be a part of that. And if it's going to always happen on the same weekend as the Valley Vineyards Beer and Wine Festival,
that could be tricky.
It could be a little bit tricky.
And one you're here, one you're there. Just you know.
Yeah.
You were at Valley Vineyards this year, so next year just say, "I'm sorry, but I'm committed to Missing Linck."
Could be. That could be. So, excellent, Julia. That sounds like a bunch of fun, and I'm glad you got to experience that. Like I said, I have a little bit of FOMO.
Likewise for the Valley Vineyards Festival. I wish that I would have made more of an effort to get up there.
That's all
There's
right.
just so much going on
Oh,
all
yeah.
at the same time. It's-
Absolutely. We
like
could switch
we said
off next year.
before.
I'll go to Missing Linck. You can
Sounds
work
good.
Valley Vineyards.
Sounds good.
You and
like we
Josh,
said in our
yeah.
main episode, you have to pick where your money for your experiences go to,
Yeah.
and the more you support these local places, these local events, the more they can do it year after year after year. And the Reds are doing it again.
Another home run.
Hell to the
Another
yeah.
2-run home run. They're up 9-0 in the
Yeah.
bottom of the third.
I was just going to say, this isn't even anywhere near halfway over, and we are kicking ass from the Cincinnati sports ball side.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this little bonus episode. We wanted to try to
Yes.
we wanted to showcase our experiences with local beer events, because the main episode of our podcast, we really don't get the opportunity to do so. And because both of us had such a great weekend with them, we wanted to let you guys know, so don't miss out. Listen to our mini 0.5 episodes, find
That's
out what's
right.
coming up, support local.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times we will discuss some of the events that we think we're going to be able to make it to.
Mm-hmm.
And so see if we can experience some of those things.
Right.
And
And if you happen to see us at any of these events, stop by and say hi.
Yeah,
Let us know what you think about the show.
sure.
If you have a complaint, don't tell us. Tell @Raging Hop on Twitter.
Correct. Yeah,
And,
don't mention that to us.
No, we get our feelings hurt pretty easily. So keep those online. It's easier to feel anonymous online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Julia, awesome. And you know what? This is pretty fun. Why don't we cut this off, put this equipment away, and hang out and watch some Reds?
Sounds good. Maybe get tacos.
Yeah, maybe tacos.
Let's get tacos.
Tacos.
Bye, guys. We're getting tacos.